Petrels are particularly vulnerable to AA missiles, and I love you, Petrel, but you don't make this easy.
Battle stations! Battle stations! Man is spotted, bearing 335, hot!
This ancillary transmission is directed to Grim Reaper's Naval Ops anti-surface warfare expert, Thumblegudget. We acknowledge receipt of your briefing material relating to the use of bombs against naval units from the Albatross, Manta, and Razorbill platforms. Following circulation of this material, we received a commentary from one of our operational units. The comment reads as follows: Petrel, full stop. We assume that this is a request for GRNO's standard operational procedures for the deployment of Petrel heavy-lift rotorcraft against naval assets. We therefore would like to forward this request to you. Do a thing. That is all.
Hello, Commanders. It's Thumblegudget here, and it looks like I'm going to be sinking ships using a Petrel. Now, I've demonstrated using an Albatross, a Manta, and a Razorbill. And if you're wanting to try to sink ships with a Petrel, my standard operating procedure advice would be, have you tried don't? The Petrel is a fantastic aircraft for many things. It's very resilient, it's great for shooting up islands with guns or doing these special operations. But it does have an Achilles heel, and that is what happens when somebody shoots an AA missile at it. These ships have AA missiles, and that means getting close to them is dangerous for the Petrel. Nonetheless, I like a challenge, so let's go through some of the ways that we can sink one of these pesky swordfish with a Petrel. Option number 1. TV missiles. So here are some stats for you to bear in mind when you go after a swordfish or a needlefish with a Petrel. The spotting range of one of these ships, which is the range they'll fire a missile at you, and the range that they will detect an enemy unit and the whole island will go on alert, is 4 kilometers. I'm flying this aircraft here on manual, and I'm able to detect the range using the gimbal. Notice I've not got the gimbal active. But what this can do is it can tell me the range to the target. And the gimbal can only spot the target at 5 kilometers. So therefore the magic range is somewhere between 4 and 5 kilometers. So move in a bit closer. Okay, that should be enough. So I'm going to put the aircraft onto automatic control, which will stabilize it at 400 meters. If I switch onto the gimbal camera, I can zoom in. I'm at about 4.6 kilometers, and I can get tally on this target. And he can't see me yet, which is useful because this ship and the island are not on alert yet. That gives me time to make an attack. Now, anybody who's attacked one of these ships with missiles before will realise that this ship has a sea whiz. In fact, you can see the sea whiz here. There will always be a 160mm gun, a torpedo launcher, a sea whiz, and an AA missile launcher. They'll be in different positions on different ships, but what you want to know is where it is. On this ship, it's in the forward section here. These 3 weapons can fire ahead. This weapon can fire astern or anywhere depending on what sort of weapon it is. If the Sea Whiz is on the front, you want to attack to the rear, and vice versa. I have 4 TV guided missiles, and I'm going to be using those to attack this ship. It helps that the ship is stationary, however if it's moving I can do this same technique. However, having a pilot, having a 2-man crew helps there, because you have one person to fly the missiles and another person to keep the petrol at the right distance. So let's arm a missile. And TV missile away. So the first thing with the TV missile is you want to be above Sea Whiz range, and you want to target the ship from its vulnerable aspect. Go in above 1,000 meters height. And the most useful guide, the range to the target will be based on the range from your aircraft. So that's of no use, but the link range, which is the number you can see in the bottom left there, will count up. We know the target's at 4.5 kilometers. This missile will explode if you reach 5 kilometers. That's the maximum range for a TV missile from the firing aircraft. But when you get to around 4 kilometers, that's the time to start angling in towards the target. We're wanting to aim at the back of this ship. The missile will skid around the corners, so it helps to get lined up nice and early. So aiming for the back of the superstructure. This is possible on a moving ship, but much easier if it's stationary. You can see that missile hit, so all I need to do is repeat the process. Rifle 2. Rifle 3. And scratch 1 swordfish. Option 2, IR missiles. Okay, in this variation we're going to use IR missiles. You can see here that we're in an automated safe hover about 4.3 kilometers away from the target, and we've got 4 IR missiles. 3 should be enough. So let's arm the missile and lock the target, and we'll fire 3 IR missiles, and we should be aiming at the Sea Whiz blind spot. That's 1, 2, 3 missiles away. And scratch 1 swordfish. This can be a bit touch and go because sometimes a wave can get in the way, but you can see it's in calm water there, so clean shot, and we've got 1 missile left over. Option 3, laser missiles. Laser missiles. So you can see here we're about 4.2 kilometers from the target. The laser distance is saying slightly closer because it's on the superstructure here. We can select guided missiles because we're carrying 4 of them. Missile away. Rifle times 1. You can see the missile distance counting down. I just have to keep the laser on target. Now, people may have tried this before, but the important thing to bear in mind is, again, the CWIS blind spot. The missile comes down near vertically, but it comes in from this angle, which means it should still be coming down in the CWIS blind spot, which is the rear quarter or so of this ship. We'll soon find out. And the CWIS isn't firing, so here comes the missile. And that's a good hit. And because the ship is stationary, I can cancel the support and fire multiple missiles. And this attack is actually less susceptible to waves getting in the way because the missiles come down vertically. Of course, I only need 3 missiles to sink the ship, but I want the biggest explosion I can get. Looks pretty. Missiles closing on target. And scratch. Option number 4. Ground artillery. Something that I find fits well into the category of nice to have is ground artillery. Now, the maximum range for ground artillery is 5 kilometers, and the ship will spot the ground artillery at less than 4, so bear that in mind. But you can designate with the gimbal camera from further away. So, select ground artillery, opening fire. It takes 3 rounds to kill a swordfish. There's 1, there's 2, 3 rounds out. And the ground artillery is more of a howitzer than a cannon. The shells fly very high. That's a miss. That's another miss. That's a hit. Firing 2 more. And cancel. And target destroyed. Option 5 I'm calling Bring a Friend. What we're doing here is we're supporting the Petrel with a razor bill that's carrying flares. Missile incoming. Deploying flares. Missile's taken the bait. You see the razor bill is set to follow the Petrel. Switching the Petrel to manual control. arming the IR missiles, and we're wanting to get into the Sea-Whiz blind spot, so flying above 1,000, get behind the target. Don't have a missile lock, but it shouldn't matter. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3. And scratch. Option 6. Do it properly. Yes, those are light bombs. 2 light bombs will sink a swordfish, or 1 medium bomb, or 1 heavy bomb. Dodging AA missiles in a Petrel is even harder than in an Albatross, but there is a method that I've found works most of the time. I call it the tuck and roll, and let me demonstrate. It turns out that AA missiles can't hit an upside down Petrel at full throttle, presumably because they assume that if you're stupid enough to be doing that, you're already dead. It is a bit suicidal. Now you've got 60 seconds to drop the bombs on the target, just the same as you would in a razor bill, except it's like flying a shopping trolley. And that's how you do it properly. And if all else fails, you can improvise. Case in point, 2 AA missiles. And a bit of up close and personal attention with 20mm cannons. So there you go. That's how you kill a swordfish with a Petrel. I hope this video has been informative and or entertaining, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Thumblegudget signing off.